games in a row. The Bombers dominated early in the regular season, but have only one win in their last 8 games in Toronto. It's the Eastern Final, the CFL on CBC and HD. The Bombers and Argos have met 4 times in the Eastern Final, and each time the winner has gone on to take the Grey Cup. Will history repeat itself? Hi everyone, I'm Steve Armitage with Harry Jones, and welcome to our coverage of the Eastern Final. In the first part of the regular season, Harry, Glenn was the best quarterback in the CFL. The big question going into the Eastern Final is, can Kevin Glenn repeat that form?
Yeah, and I think he can. A lot has been made about Kevin Glenn's first half of the season versus his second half of the season. In the first half, the first 11 games, 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. In the last 7 games, 9 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. But you have to look beyond the numbers. Kevin went away from the short timing routes that had made him successful in the past, and also you have to look at the receivers. They missed 17 balls in the last 3 games. Now, that's going to hurt any offense. But I like what I saw against Montreal last week. They went back to those short timing routes that made them successful earlier in the season, and that has to bode well now for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Michael Bishop was brilliant in relief of Damon Allen in last year's playoffs, and he gets his first ever start at the quarterback position in a playoff game for the Argos today.
Yeah, and what we've really seen is the growth of Michael Bishop. I mean, he came in 2002 as a raw physical talent, but he's learned the game. He has led this team to first place in the East now. He's had his struggles at times, especially his last game versus Winnipeg, but I like what I saw against Saskatchewan last week. It's the best I've ever seen a quarterback play under those positions. They're going to need that Michael Bishop for them to be successful today.
Okay, right now let's get the game notes from Harry Jones for this Eastern Final, Harry.
Sounds good. We've got a movie theme. On offense, the longest yard. Charles Roberts wants about 100 of those longest yards. It will be either rushing or catching the ball, but they have to get Charles Roberts involved. And on defense, Raging Bull. I'm talking about Barron Simpson, the man in the middle. He came up big against Montreal last week in crucial short yardage situations. They'll need that rage again. For Toronto on offense, all the right moves. Michael Bishop has had all the right moves for this team so far, 11-1 as a starter, but this will be his biggest test. Will he pass it? And on defense, 10. Kevin Ivan said that the Bombers would be lucky to score 10 points. Now it's up to Kevin Ivan and the linebackers to make that statement a perfect 10 for the Argos.
Well, the weather won't be a factor today under the dome, but the Argos are hoping the noise will work in their favor. Doug Berry says his team that slipped in the second half of the season and lost the season series against the Argos is not concerned with the Toronto defense. His own D is not too far behind the Argos. This could be Michael Clemens' last game as coach with Toronto. Considerable speculation that pinball is going on to bigger and better things outside of the game that he has represented so well and given so much to. The Eastern Final. The Bombers against the Argos. Winnipeg won the toss, and they will take the ball. It's Reed and Stokes back to take this opening kickoff from Noel Prefontaine. The Eastern Final is underway. Stokes at his 15, 20. Good return. Brought down by John Williams, but Kevin Glenn, who comes in looking to regain that early season form, will have possession.
Yeah, Kevin Glenn, like we said, he wasn't the most outstanding player for nothing. You have Kevin Glenn in that backfield, and it's going to be up to Kevin and Charles Roberts to really set the tone for this offense today. Wide receivers look for Derek Armstrong. He has a great matchup against Younger. He's got 100 yards in all 3 games they played against him. And Koch is the new man in there with Andrew Green out. They're going to challenge him early.
A bad snap recovered by Roberts, and Roberts got to make Edwards pulls it down. I don't think that was in the playbook.
No. I like the composure that they showed on that first play. So we go to the Toronto defense, the strength of this team, led by Brown up front with 13 sacks. You look at Ivan saying that they wouldn't score 10 points. Look for Pyle to come off the edge today. Very good rusher from the linebacker position. And the defensive backfield, all solid back there. That's why they've allowed the least amount of touchdowns of anyone in the CFL.
Second and 10, Winnipeg from their own 32. Opening drive of this first quarter. Good pressure, almost picked off by that very strong Argonaut defense.
Yeah, we just talked about it. Willie Powell coming off the edge on second down. Look to see that a lot this game. They think they have a great matchup with Powell and his quickness against the tackles of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
So the Bombers 2 and out. Troy Westwood, such a force for the Bombers in that semifinal win last weekend over Montreal, will handle the punting duties. Dominic Dorsey back to receive for the Argos. Dorsey, the Eastern nominee for Special Teams Player of the Year. And he takes it. He's at 45, 50. Looking for running room on the outside. Crosses the midfield stripe. So Michael Bishop will have good field position when we come back. The Argos get the ball for the first time this afternoon.
East Championship final game is going to be one of the greatest experiences in my sports life that has ranged now over 30 years.
And pinball certainly knows what it means to win an Eastern final, go on to win a Grey Cup. The Argos did that in 2004 with pinball as the coach. First and 10, Toronto. Bishop rolling right. Talbot picks up 6 or 7 yards. Bolden is there to drive him out of bounds, and that could be a late hit.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a late hit. Jerron Bolden looks like he's just trying to send a message to show that he's a physical player and paid for it on that particular play. Can't hit a guy out of bounds. As we go to the Argos offense, you see Bishop with Avery and Edwards. They probably won't both be back there.
Unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg 21. It's 15-yard penalty. First down.
We go to we see the receivers with Arlen Bruce. He's the main man for that group with Talbot. And again, Jerome Davis playing in his first game in 3 months at left tackle, usually a right tackle. So we're going to watch him against Canada and Walls.
Unnecessary roughness, a call against Jerron Bolden, who was a late pickup by the Blue Bombers after a stint in the NFL. They were glad to have him back last week, had a very important interception for the Blue Bombers, but that was an untimely penalty. Edwards, his first carry, picks up 3 or 4 yards over left tackle.
We take a look at the Winnipeg defense. On the line, you see Canada and Walls on the outside, looking to give some pressure to Michael Bishop. And Barron Simpson, the main man in the middle, but look for Ike Charlton too. A smart player came up with a big play against Montreal. And the defensive backs, Jerron Bolden, who we just saw in that first play, he moved over to the wide side corner instead of the weak side. Gonna watch for that matchup against Talbot.
Second and 6 Argos. Bishop with time, going deep, got a man open, but tipped away at the last second. Kyrie Zaber timing it perfectly.
Yeah, beautiful play by Kyrie Zaber. He knew that Michael Bishop's main guy is Arlen Bruce, as everyone does, and he goes over and tries to make the play on it, gets his hands on it before Arlen Bruce can touch it. But again, Arlen Bruce was open on this play. He has Kelly Malvo in a one-on-one position, and believe me, Toronto Argonauts are going to go back to that. If that ball was placed in the right spot, then that's a touchdown for the Toronto Argonauts.
An early test for Toronto place kicker Noel Prefontaine. He missed the big game in Regina, most of it with a concussion, and he wasn't sure how he was going to kick today. It is wide right. So the first test for Prefontaine is failed, and the best the Argos can do is a single point with a missed field goal.
Still scoreless here in Toronto after that missed field goal by the Argos, Noel Prefontaine. And, you know, a couple of things that Noel said yesterday about suffering a concussion in the team's last game. He said yesterday that he's about 80%. There's a couple of things which still cause him problems, light and noise. Certainly no shortage of noise here today. He said it causes him to lose his focus, which will obviously make his job tougher today.
First and 10, Brenda, from the 35, and they give to Roberts, and Roberts tripped up by himself.
Yeah, Charles Roberts trying to make a move before he saw there was one-on-one situation, and just didn't get his feet up under him. But they're definitely going to have to use Charles Roberts throughout this game, and they know that. So they're going to try different ways to use him. They try to bunch set on that particular play. You'll see them when they spread the field out. They will get the ball to Charles Roberts today.
20 carries for Sir Charles last week against Montreal for 107 yards and 1 TD. Bombers go to the air, and it's dropped. R.J. Franklin had it for a brief second, but couldn't hang on.
Yeah, and that was Orlando Steinauer just making a good move to the ball. Toronto goes to their vaunted blitz. They bring everybody up to the line and just have all their defensive backs looking at the quarterback. Soon as he makes a move to throw that ball, the defensive backs run up to the ball, and Orlando Steinauer makes the play. That ball has to hit R.J. Franklin right in the chest for it to be successful.
Troy Westwood, second punt of this opening quarter. Again, not one of his better ones, but it goes out of bounds at about the 38-yard line, where Michael Bishop and company will take over first and 10. A 36-yard punt. I think they're looking more from Westwood in the punting department.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Ramada. You do your thing. Leave the rest to us.
Talking to Pinball Clemens yesterday, he said that his quarterback, Michael Bishop, tends to be very aggressive, very hyper early in the opening quarter. He thought maybe, just maybe, we might see Bishop carry the ball. Edwards gets the handoff, picks up a yard, maybe 2.
Yeah, and I always think that's a good move for a quarterback, especially when you have the nerves, when you have the jitters. I know myself, I always like to go take the ball downfield, get that first hit, and then get it out of you. So we see him hand the ball off to Edwards. They moved around the pocket on the first play. They're going to try a lot of different things. They want to make sure that Michael Bishop, their leader on that field, is calmed down and ready to go.
A 1-yard gain for Edwards. They spot the ball at the 39. Second and 9. Nobody on the left-hand side of the field. Everybody's split wide right. And Bishop going deep again. He's got a man open. And again, a key play. He was looking for Bruce. And again,
Kyrese Bear has the mandate. Find Arlen Bruce wherever he is. You've seen him already. Michael Bishop is trying to go to him early and often. But Kyrese Bear is right there again. This time, it would have took it even the most perfect play you can think of to get this ball in, because Kyrese Bear had great position on this play. It was like he was the defensive back on this play. But again, they know the halfbacks cannot stay with Arlen Bruce. Both halfbacks have already been beat by him, but Kyrese Bear is there.
Bear has brought his A game to the Eastern Final. Noel Prefontaine will get the punt away from just outside the 30. Again, not much better than Westwood's. So the Argos will go on defense. Toronto, the Eastern Final. Argos leading by a score of 1-0. Kevin Glenn completes the pass to Derek Armstrong, and that's a combination that you pointed out earlier, Kahari, we can expect to see a lot of.
Yeah, some teams just play well versus certain other teams, and Derek Armstrong is one of those guys. They played 3 games against Toronto Argonauts now. He's got over 100 yards in all 3 of them, and I think it's because he's a big physical receiver. He's able to catch the ball in traffic and then get upfield for positive yardage.
The Bombers' first down of the game. They spot the ball at the 49-yard line. Roberts. Give him an inch and he'll take a yard. This is Charles Roberts at his best, down inside the 45-yard line.
And that is vintage Charles Roberts. This is what he does. All he needs is a little crease to be successful. As you see on this play, he's going to go on the right side here. He gets the crease, just enough blocking that he needs. You cannot arm tackle this guy. He is that good. You see Winters try, you see Parker have to climb on, and you think for such a small guy that you can take him down, but his legs just keep moving.
A 17-yard pickup for Charles Roberts. 1st and 10 Bombers from the Argos 44. Glenn has time, swings it wide left, and he completes it and forced out of bounds at the 30-yard line, R.J. Franklin.
And this is exactly what the Blue Bombers were looking for. They want to keep the Toronto Argonauts defense off balance. We all know how good the Toronto Argonauts defense is, but if you can run the ball and if you can pass the ball successfully, that gets them off balance. Then they don't know where you want to go with the ball. And again, Kevin going back, making quick decisions. The one to Armstrong, now the one to Franklin. They're moving the ball successfully.
Rich Stubler, the defensive coordinator for the Argos, what a job he has done with this Argo defense. They're under pressure now following that 13-yard gain. Good little play action pass over the middle of Edwards, and they're down just outside the 10-yard line.
Fantastic throw by Kevin Glenn. Again, I love the fake. You saw Fletcher go right with Charles Roberts on that fake, didn't give a look to Kevin Glenn. Here's Fletcher on this side. He goes into Charles Roberts, leaves Kevin Glenn wide open to look over the field, throw it in traffic to Edwards, another first down. But this is where they have to be successful against the Toronto Argonauts. This is where the Toronto Argonauts defense usually shuts teams down.
And that's a 19-yard pickup. 1st and 10 Bombers from the Argo 12-yard line. Roberts. And Roberts picks up 3 or 4 going left side.
Yep, again, mixing it up. Charles Roberts going up the middle. You would think Charles is just an outside kind of back, but Charles Roberts makes it happen up the middle too. When he sees a hole, that's all he needs to see is a little hole. You see Matt Sheridan up front. Dominic Picard given the blocks that he needs. All he needs is a little seam. Picked up 5 yards.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg. From the Toronto 7. Kevin Glenn from the shotgun. Blitz is coming. Touchdown, Winnipeg! Milt Stegall on the deflection.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And Milt Stegall, the touchdown Beagle, is in the right place at the right time on this play. Did you see the pressure from the outside? They're coming at Kevin Glenn. He knows he has to get rid of it. Kevin Ivan comes right up the middle, but Kevin Glenn gives Armstrong a chance. Armstrong, nice coverage. Toronto does everything right. Just Milt Stegall keeps his eyes open, comes up with the big play.
Stegall caught the opening pass in their win over Montreal last week in Winnipeg, and he does the same here in Toronto this afternoon. The convert from Troy Westwood is good, and the Bombers go in front of the Argos by a score of 7-1. We're early in the opening quarter. The Bombers on top of the Argos by a count of 7-1 in the first quarter here in Toronto. Tuesday at 8, former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien teaches Rick a thing or two about reading a good book, while over at Little Mosque on the Prairie, paranoia runs rampant in Mercy Mercy. An all-new episode, a special day and time, Tuesday at 8:30 on CBC. The kickoff following the touchdown, first given up through the air by the Argos since October the 12th. Dorsey still on his feet. Good effort on the part of Dorsey. Battles his way up to the 30-yard line.
Yeah, and this is what you want to see on a touchdown play. You see a little extracurricular activity. We go back to the touchdown. You see Kevin Ivan getting through in the middle, but Kevin Glenn just moves a little bit to the right side and keeps his ground and throws a perfect strike on this play. You see Kevin Ivan get up the middle. Kevin stays in there. They got double outs on the outside. And Milt makes it happen.
Well, let's see if the Bombers defense can respond with a stand here against Michael Bishop and the Argos offense. 1st and 10 from the 30. Miles, and he goes Miles. Comes up just shy of the midfield strike.
Fantastic read by Michael Bishop to start this game. One of the things I like about Michael Bishop, look at where he's looking. He's looking to the left, and then he turns to the right. This is one of the things that people talked about with Michael Bishop is that he was always showing where he was going to throw the ball. But now he's used that to his advantage to fake defenses out. That's a very good start for Michael Bishop.
A 25-yard pickup for Miles. The Argos are 1st and 10 from the midfield stripe. Bishop unloads again, complete to Talbot. And Talbot chased out of bounds at the Bombers' 49-yard line.
Yeah, that's one of Michael Bishop's favorite receivers. Talbot has been solid all year long. One of the things that Michael Bishop possesses is such a big arm that he can make this throw. Most quarterbacks won't even attempt the wide side out throw, where you see they have double outs on this side. But that ball gets to Talbot so quickly and effectively that it's like he's running it from the other side.
2nd and 4, Toronto from the 49. Edwards has a little bit of running room on the right side. He just might have that first down.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I think even if he doesn't have it, this is the part of the field where the Toronto Argonauts will go for it. But as you see, those big guys up front, as you have the pulling fullback on this play, and Robert Edwards, they want to use his big body in there, have that Edwards and Avery combination, get them the rushing yards that they need in the backfield.
First measurement of the football game. D coordinator for the Bombers, Greg Marshall, looking on. And that's how close it was. The nose of the football doesn't get any closer.
Exactly. This is a game of inches. We say it all the time. Winnipeg knows that firsthand from their game last week against Montreal. Came down to 2 third and short plays, and they came out on top on those.
So the Argos keep the drive alive. Now 1st and 10, just shy of the Bombers' 45-yard line. Winnipeg up 7-1. Edwards again, crashing off left tackle, a couple of yards maybe.
And they know Edwards is fresh. He's been injured for a few weeks, so they haven't been using him. They want to get him involved early in this game. Again, the key to both of these teams, because their defenses are so solid, that they want to establish a double threat, both running the ball and passing the ball. If one of these defenses knows that all you're going to do is pass the ball, then that gives them the advantage.
Bombers going with the extra DB. Pinball was telling us yesterday we could see Edwards and Avery out of the backfield at some time today. I don't know where Bishop was going with that one. Talbot was well in front of that intended pass.
Yeah, it looked like Talbot was trying to throw a comeback route. He went and we call it a flying dive when the defensive back is so far off that you just kind of come off of the play and settle along the sidelines. Michael Bishop is looking at him all the way, so you know he wanted to throw the ball that way. But again, a little miscommunication on both sides. As you see, Michael talked to the quarterback coach, Bill Dietrich, trying to make sure Bishop and the whole offense are on the right page right now.
Noel Prefontaine in for the punt. Keith Stokes standing just outside his 5-yard line. A low spiral. He allows it to bounce, and it goes out of bounds inside the 4-yard line. That was misplayed in my mind on the part of Stokes. Should have scooped that up before it went out of bounds.
Oh yeah, but that was a nice punt right there. He knew that Stokes was on the left side of the ball, and he just puts it right where Stokes can't get to it quick enough. And again, Stokes probably was hoping that that ball went in the end zone, but this one he hoped wrong.
A 40-yard punt from Prefontaine, and the Bombers will be forced to start from their own 4-yard line. Kevin Glenn from the shotgun will take the snap in the end zone. Roberts. Adriano Belli there to stop Blink, as they call him. Comes up just shy of the 10-yard line.
I'm seeing something with the Winnipeg offensive line right now. They are getting a lot of push off of the ball. You see Koch and Matt Sheridan, Picard, they're all getting Adriano Belli out of the middle of the field, and that's a key. Adriano Belli has been so big with the running game with the Toronto Argonauts. If they can get him out of the middle and displace him, then they're going to have success running the ball.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg from their own 9. Glenn from the shotgun, fires, and completes to Stiegel. And Stiegel has the first down.
And that was a good wrap-up by Kenny Wheaton, because it looked like Stiegel almost got loose, and we know what happens when Mill Stiegel gets loose in a little bit of space. But the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you have to be impressed right now. They are doing what they want to do against the toughest defense in the league. And you talked to them yesterday. They felt confident about this game. They felt like they moved the ball in the past. It was only a matter of time before they were able to convert some of these into touchdowns.
Toronto's defense has given up 400 yards in a game 3 times this season, twice against the Bombers. Roberts. And again, good second effort by Sir Charles. Ivan there to pull him down.
And that's what you're going to see with the Toronto Argonauts right now, is their linebackers are going to have to play a bigger role in the run game. Kevin Ivins this time stepped up into this play. He's up in the line as soon as they hand the ball off to him and touching Charles Roberts at the line of scrimmage. So now that opens the door to a little bit more play action. So getting Belli out of there is going to cause the domino effect for Toronto.
From the 23, the Bombers are 2nd and 6. Glenn with time, it's tipped, but R.J. Franklin is there to pull it down, and he's just short of the first down.
Yep, now this is going to be interesting, because they're winning the field position battle right now. They don't want to give up this kind of field position if they weren't to get a first down. But again, Kevin Glenn going back, just taking his steps, making a quick decision and getting the ball out quick. Looks like he did in the first 11 games.
And that's what he did so well in the first part of the regular season.
Yeah,
quick release.
You're exactly right, and that's Kevin Glenn's game. He knows what he's doing back there. He's been in this offense for a few years now. He's able to make those decisions. He knows what's going to happen before it happens on the field. And they have to keep using that, keep using the mind of Kevin Glenn to success.
Well, Doug Berry may have gone to school on Jim Pop and the Alouettes. They gambled on a short yardage situation and lost. So Troy Westwood is into the game. The Bombers aren't going to take any chances. They're going to punt it away.
Yeah, and I think it's a great call by Winnipeg. The defense is playing outstanding football now. The only reason that they had problems last game is because of field position. The 2 touchdowns that the Argos got were because of a short field. So they don't want to give the Argos anything more than they have to.
Argos are a man short. A good punt from Westwood, sending Dorsey way back. Pulls it in inside the 20-yard line. Dorsey going backwards, not forwards, and is brought down at about the 14-yard line. A 63-yard boomer from Troy Westwood. A -6 return from Dominic Dorsey.
He is continuing his most outstanding player ways for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, he came up big versus Montreal last week. Now he's coming up big again. That is such a big change of field position. When you can get a 63-yarder and come from out of your own end to deep in your opponent's end. So now they have over about 100 yards to get a touchdown. Great call by Berry to kick that ball off.
Westwood didn't know until a couple of days ago that he was going to be handling both chores in this final. Whether he was going to punt or not was open to question. Should be the final play of this opening quarter at Rogers Center in Toronto. Bishop from the shotgun. Bishop under pressure. Completes on Bruce. And Bruce is driven out of bounds at the 27-yard line. The gun goes. The first quarter is over. The Bombers lead the Argos 7-1.
Brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
I'm gonna bleed all over this kid.
The kissing bandit, Adriano Belli, wearing the mic for us this afternoon. A very passionate, emotional football player. Rich Stubler said he only ever went after 2 free agents, Willie Pless and that man, Adriano Belli. What a difference he has made at nose tackle for the Argos. 1st and 10 for Michael Bishop and the offense from the 27. Bishop looking for Avery, and it's incomplete.
Yeah, Avery trying to get in there. Not successful on that first one. As we look at the first quarter stats, they both look a lot pretty equal, but the net yards, Winnipeg with that big drive culminating in a touchdown. That's the important thing. You usually can get yards against Toronto, but don't come up with the touchdowns. And the possession factor. They've been able to hold on to the ball and keep drives alive, especially the first one that ended in the touchdown.
2nd and 10 Toronto from the 27. Bishop out of the shotgun. Rolling to his right. Looking downfield. Oh, in and out of the arms of Tony Miles. That was catchable.
Oh, yeah. And he took something off of that, so you can't say it was the speed of it. Miles just has to come up with that ball. We knew that Toronto Argonauts were going to try to move the pocket a little bit more today because of Jerome Davis, but it's something that they're not all the way used to. They haven't been doing this most of the season. So when you don't do something and the quarterback's coming at you from a different angle, and the ball, but again, you can't use that as an excuse. Miles has to come up with that ball, and he just loses focus.
Bishop 4 for 9 in passing. Kevin Glenn on that last scoring drive for the Bombers was 4 for 4 passing. Prefontaine will get the punt away from his own 15. Good spiral. Stokes at the 35. He's got a wall. He's making use of it. He fumbles. Argos head break covered. Noel Prefontaine scoops it up. Welcome back to the CFL on CBC. You're watching the Eastern Final from Toronto, where the Argos trail the Bombers 7-1. We're going to get a challenge from this play.
Yeah, and I think it's a good challenge. This is what the Bombers wanted to avoid. The turnover, it looks like he gets down. He has a knee down before the ball goes out. I think they're correct in challenging this play, and I would be surprised if it's not overturned. Again, as we look at it from another angle, he has his hand in there, but the ball is not gone. The knee is down, and then the ball pops out. So in my view, he is down. I think this is the best view. Stop it right there. I think the ball was still in there. But again, it is close.
Great hit.
It's a fantastic hit by Fletcher. And he goes in, he does what you're supposed to do. He wraps the guy up, not only wraps him up, but then goes for the ball in the process. As we see George Black and the crew looking at this play.
Pinball Clemens looking on, and we should point out that Bud Steen is under the hood right now, and he is getting help from George Black up top. And that didn't happen over the course of the regular season.
No, and I think it's a great move. I think whoever is down on the field is dealing with the emotions of the game. Everything that's going on down there. He needs a calm hand upstairs to kind of talk it over. Somebody who's been down in the trenches before. And for us, that person is George Black today.
And George was telling us before the game, the mistake that some of the officials make is to watch this in slow-mo.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, especially on the catch and no catch. But again, I think you have to look at these types of plays in slow motion. The ball might have been out of his head. Now that I think about it, I think
here it is in regular speed. You be the judge.
Oh, regular speed, it's out. But it has to be conclusive the other way, and they've already called it that it was a fumble, so they may keep it a fumble. I don't know what's going to happen.
Here's Bud Steen.
After the review, the Winnipeg player's knee touched the ground while he was in possession of the ball. As a result, it is first down, Winnipeg.
So a successful challenge for Doug Berry and the Bombers has taken the turnover away. So the Bombers go on offense.
Well, that's why they have the challenge in place for plays like this. Sometimes the human eye is just not fast enough to see those types of things, but you want to get the play right. And when you do slow that play down, you can see that his knee is down just before the ball comes out. It's milliseconds that the ball is out, but again, I think they got it right.
1st and 10 for Kevin Glenn and the Bombers offense from their own 48-yard line. They lead 7-1. 13:55 to play, second quarter here in the Eastern Final. Little play action. And going deep for Armstrong. Armstrong got a touch of it, but Wheaton had him well covered, kept him to the outside.
Yeah, and it looked like Kenny Wheaton got a hand on that ball just at the right time. Armstrong and Kenny Wheaton, again, they're going to go for that. Kevin Glenn had someone open short on this play, but he sees Armstrong one-on-one. He decides to go for it. Armstrong gets a little separation toward the end of that play, but Kenny Wheaton just enough to get his hands on the ball. Kenny Wheaton has played great this whole season. One of those guys that you don't think he's going to be there. You don't think he's going to be on the ball, but he's always making the play.
Glenn's first incomplete pass in 7 attempts. He puts it up, airs it out deep again, down through the middle. Flag on the fly.
Yeah, and that's pass interference on this play. Kevin Glenn this time buys time. He knows the blitz is coming. He knows Milsteagle is going deep up the middle of the field, but he buys time long enough to get that ball up to Milsteagle.
There's a man who really gets into the game.
Toronto, number 30. First down, Winnipeg.
Yeah, the Argos are arguing that this play wasn't catchable, but again, we look at Milsteagle. He gets up the field. He's one of the best in the league at this, and yeah, you have to call that play. Kenny Wheaton is all over him. I mean, either illegal contact, pass interference. There is a call on this play, and you don't know if Kenny Wheaton saved 7 points on this one.
It's a 26-yard pickup is what it is. 1st and 10 Winnipeg from the Argos 36. Glenn complete to Armstrong. Hit immediately and dropped at the 30 by Younger. We expected that matchup.
Oh, yeah, and Armstrong has been had the advantage versus Younger for most of these 3 games, and I think Younger has taken that to heart. He wants to make sure that Armstrong does not get the best of him in this game, and he comes downhill with a vengeance on this play. I mean, he has bad intentions all over that hit and dislodges Armstrong from the ball.
2nd and 10, again from the 36. Roberts has some room on the left side, still going. I think he's going to come up short of the yardage needed to move the sticks.
Fantastic play, though, by Winnipeg, changing the script. They did this once against Montreal on a 2nd and 8 and ended up getting a touchdown with Charles Roberts. This time they see the blitz. Toronto is thinking they're going to throw the ball, and they give the ball to Charles Roberts, who gets maybe 10 yards.
Well, we've already seen Roberts throw the ball. I thought maybe he was going to pitch it back to Kevin Glenn that time.
They're pulling out all the stops in this game. This is for the Grey Cup, and you can tell both teams know it.
This is a long yard. Now, this is going to raise an interesting point. Is Westwood going to try the field goal or the punt?
Yeah. It looks like he's coming out with the field goal tee. We talked to Coach Barry yesterday, and he said he wasn't feeling very good about anything over 40 yards. And if it was over 40 yards on a field goal, he might try the punt.
In answer to that question that I put to him, he just looked at me and said, well, what do you think?
Not a happy boy about the special team so far this year.
It's going to be a 34-yard field goal attempt from Troy Westwood. He's got the legs. It is good. Troy Westwood has given the Bombers a 10-1 lead with 12:15 to play in the second quarter here at Rogers Center. Argos linebacker Kevin Ivan on the bench, not known for his quotes most of the time, but Kahari this week, he was quoted big time.
Yeah, said they're not going to score over 10 points. Yeah, and talked a lot of stuff. And you talked to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to a man. They said, hey, he can say what he wants to. They're not worried about that. But when they get in the locker room and when they start talking amongst themselves, they want to prove him wrong. And so that's a tough thing to back up, especially against an offense like Winnipeg has.
Westwood with the kick, following the field goal. Over Bruce's head, and Bruce will have his work cut out to get out of there. And now he's going to take a knee. That might have been a mistake on the part of the Argos.
Oh, yeah,
not believing that Westwood could kick it that far.
I know. They keep kind of moving up on Westwood, and he keeps proving them wrong by putting it over their head. He's done it on a punt already. Now he does it on a kickoff. He is. I think it's a great ploy, not having him punt all year and then having him come out here and make a difference. So as you look at pinball and the coaches on the sideline trying to figure out what they can do against Troy Westwood right now, because he is really putting them in a hole of field position-wise.
This coming weekend, the Grey Cup is front and center on CBC Sports. We'll have more on that in just a few moments as Michael Bishop goes to work. 1st and 10, Toronto from the 35. Miles with a good grab, hangs on that time, has the first down for Toronto. Grey Cup, front and center on CBC Sports this weekend, the 10th annual Wallabies Warriors at 2:30 Eastern, and a Grey Cup preview highlight Saturday. While Grey Cup Sunday kicks off at 3:30 Eastern, followed by the pregame and the 95th Grey Cup, all from the Rogers Center right here in Toronto. It's going to be a very entertaining week in the Big Smoke. Bishop from the shotgun, rolling right. Had a man open for a brief second, but unable to complete the toss.
And again, they're trying to roll out. They really want to be effective with the rollout, but Bishop isn't used to throwing it, rolling out. He sees Arlen Bruce open for a minute, but Kelly Malvo comes into the picture and makes a nice move on the ball.
Here's Brenda.
Well, Steve, Argos O-lineman Jerome Davis was in California on Sunday when he got the call to come to Toronto to replace the injured Mike Pearson. Now, Davis hasn't played since being cut by Hamilton more than a month ago. He said his fitness isn't his biggest concern. Learning the playbook was. He says it's been a scramble, but because he played here a couple of years ago, he knows a lot of the players, and they've helped him out.
Long pass from Bishop looking for Obed Satut. And Bean was over there covering, incomplete.
Oh, and he had Tony Miles wide open on the side with Satut. As he goes back, he's looking down, he sees Satut in his sights. But again, you see Miles over here, no one is on Miles. He has the whole side of the field to himself. Michael Bishop trying the deep ball, hasn't been successful so far. Robert Bean makes a play.
And I'm sure that Tony Miles will get into the ear of Michael Bishop as you see Damon Allen on the left of your screen engaged in conversation with Bishop. A wealth of playoff experience there in Damon Allen. Prefontaine with the punt. Stokes just outside his 20. No yards will be the flag on the play as Stokes is tripped up by Williams as he crosses the 30-yard line. It's a 40-yard punt and an 8-yard return by Keith Stokes. Winnipeg have the ball when we come back.
I think they're very efficient, right? Kevin Glenn does a good job of getting the ball into the hands of playmakers, whether that's handing off to Charles Roberts or throwing the ball to his 3,000-yard receivers. Obviously, their strength would be Kevin Glenn, then, I guess, right? The decision maker who pulls the triggers back there.
The Argos veteran, Michael O'Shea, talking about Kevin Glenn. 15 years in the league for O'Shea, 37 years of age as Glenn, the man he was talking about, completes that pass.
This is vintage Kevin Glenn. He's just going back there, making a decision, believing his eyes, trusting what he sees, and getting the ball off to his receivers. Again, same thing on this play. Just goes back. He has a quick hitter. main guy, Milt Stiegel. Milt does a quick out for him, gets the ball right in his chest, so it gives Milt an opportunity to catch it in space and then make a move. This is the forte of these receivers, getting yards after the catch, and Kevin Glenn is the catalyst for that.
Stiegel, 3 catches for 27 yards. 10-yard pickup there, 1st and 10 from the 48. Glenn to Roberts, flag down on the play. Roberts got some running room on the right side. Roberts still on his feet. Finally dragged down just shy of the 40-yard line. That could come back with a hole.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to erase this big play.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg, number 53. It's a 15-yard penalty, and it remains first down.
Doug Berry saying, who, us?
And that's the center. Dominic Picard on this play as we watch Dominic. Right in the middle. Oh, he just throws a haymaker on Adriano Belli. I think he was a little tired of the Russian up there. And one of the things they try to do on the line, especially when you have a screen pass, is to push the player past you. And it looked like he was just trying to push Adriano Belli past him, and he hit him on the head with his arm.
And that wipes out a 21-yard gain. It's now 1st and 25 Bombers from their own 33. Glenn under pressure. He's sacked.
Making his presence felt. Been injured throughout this year, but he looked healthy on this play. Making an outside to inside move. He comes in, beats Koch to the punch. Again, Koch is a new guy in there, taking over for Andrew Green. He wasn't used to the stunt that they used. And Rial Johnson does the rest, gets to Kevin Glenn.
It is now 2nd and 33, a big hole. The Bombers from their own 25. Glenn dumps it over the middle, complete to Edwards, and Edwards knocked back at the 25-yard line by Brown.
Yeah, and I think that was a smart play by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You don't draw many 2nd and 33 plays. You don't want to compound the problems by throwing an interception on this play, and so he just throws a safe pattern to Edwards so they can punt the ball off and let their defense do what they've been doing so far in this game.
Well, if the Bombers ever needed a big punt from their kicker, Troy Westwood, this would be the time. The punt will come from the 15-yard line. Dorsey at his own 45. Bouncer, Dorsey at his 40. Dorsey still on his feet. Good coverage by the Bombers, getting 5 or 6 players downfield to stop Dorsey on the return. A 44-yard punt, -3 on the return.
Yeah, you see these guys working hard. Adrian Baird is the first one down there. You wouldn't think a defensive end could knock a guy over, but he makes it happen.
Don't forget Warrior of the Game. Log on to cbcsports.ca in the second half to vote for the player who you think showed the heart and determination of a Warrior. We'll show you the winner in our post-game show. Warrior of the Game brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. 1st and 10, Toronto from the 39. They give to John Avery. His first touch of the ball as a running back, and we've got a fight. Something you don't see that often in football. Some will say, why do you need to fight? Why do you need to throw a punch?
Yeah, they get to hit every play, you know. When you got Walls and Jeff Keeping over there, looking like the national game of hockey, and the referees don't wait till a guy falls in this game, though. Stop it pretty quickly. You see Avery, they're trying to get the running game going, but Winnipeg is controlling the line of scrimmage, and you just see Keeping and Walls. Oh, look at that.
That's rock'em sock'em football. Rempel all the way across the midfield stripe. 1st First down, Toronto.
Great moves by the big man. Big receiver and Rimple this time lines up as a tight end and just comes across on an under route. Michael Bishop just gives him a ball he can handle, and then Rimple does the rest. Nice moves. Makes a good move initially and then runs through the tackle of Jerron Bolden to pick up even more yards.
The unsung has stepped up. 15-yard gain, 1st and 10, Toronto. From the 54, double tight for the Argos. Little play action, buys some time. Bishop floats it out. Satut is open. And almost picked off by the Bombers.
Robert Bean. These defensive backs for Winnipeg are playing the game of football. They keep attempting to go deep, thinking that something is going to happen. But Robert Bean, Kyrese Bear, they're all coming up with fantastic plays. And I think it's a good no call by the referees. Both players are looking up at the ball. Bean is just running through, trying to get to the ball. Satut doesn't put his hands up, and Robert Bean almost comes down with this ball. Again, there is some contact there, but both players are looking for the ball. Means both of them are acting as offensive players.
2nd and 10, Argonauts. Bishop from the shotgun. Had Satut open, couldn't hang on.
Yeah, and I don't know if Satut looks like his regular self. That was a tough play to make, but in the playoffs, you have to make those plays. Bishop put the ball outside where he felt like it had to be, away from the defender. Puts a little on it, but Satut felt like he only had time to get one hand up. I'd like to see both hands get up on that ball and him get ready to throw it. Bill Dietrich talking over to Bishop.
And again, Damon Allen there to support the starting quarterback. Remember last year the roles were reversed. It was Bishop who was backing up Damon Allen. Prefontaine with the punt. High. Stokes at the 15. Stokes dancing around, trying to generate some running room. And gets about 4 or 5 yards before Crawford bings him down. 11-1, favor the Bombers. 5:24. 1st and 10, Winnipeg from the 20. Roberts spins off. One player still on his feet. Roberts at the 30 and gets up to about the 33, 34-yard line. And that was all second effort from the one they call Blink.
Second effort, third effort, fourth effort. This guy is incredible. I mean, he makes things happen when there's nothing there. As you see, Charles Roberts just gets hit initially, gets off of it. Orlando Steinauer comes up, gets off of it. Winters comes up, pushes him off. The guy is incredible. He does it year after year, making things happen.
A 13-yard pickup for Roberts. 1st and 10, Bombers from the 34. A little premature action at the line. It looks like Johnson may have been drawn offside by that snap count from Kevin Glenn.
Yeah.
Offside. Toronto 98. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Think he changed the count?
Oh yeah, he should change the count. Winnipeg is doing all the right things right now. When you're in a hostile place, what you want to do is control the game, control the tempo of the game, and that's what you see Winnipeg doing on offense right now. They're mixing it up, they're holding on to the ball a long time, and when they have to punt, they're okay with it because they're getting the good field position and defense that they need.
Comparison between the two starting quarterbacks this afternoon, Glenn and Bishop. 1st and 5, Bombers. They give it to Roberts, and Roberts comes up shy of the first down.
But still, the line of Winnipeg is getting the push that they want. Charles Roberts isn't getting touched until he gets 2 or 3 yards down the field, and that's all you want from your running back. As you see, they get the initial push, but Toronto gets off of it on this one and gets the stop.
He had 20 touches of the ball last week against Montreal. A lot of those coming in the second half. They really established Roberts here in the first half against the Argos. 2nd and 2. Roberts again. Got the first down this time.
He got the first down. Kevin Ivan made him pay for it. But Charles Roberts is a tough guy, and he made him pay for it, but he made him pay for it 6-7 yards down the field. And Charles Roberts will take that at any point in time. Again, as you see Kevin Ivan right here, he spots him, he hits him right on the under the chin. A knockout blow for most people. Charles Roberts shakes it off, gets back in the huddle.
9 carries for 62 yards for Roberts so far in this game. 1st and 10, Winnipeg from their own 47. Glenn had time and a receiver open. Derek Armstrong down inside the 45.
Yeah, and I watched Derek Armstrong on that whole pattern.
I've been playing 7 years now, and I've only been to 1 championship game, 1 Grey Cup. We lost, you know what I mean, and we haven't really gotten close since. You know, so you got to take advantage of the opportunity.
Charles Roberts certainly making the most of his opportunities. It's his play and the play selection of Kevin Glenn that I think has made the big difference in this game so far.
Yeah,
the Bombers are 1st and 10 from the Argos 44-yard line. Clock is running, under 2:30 to play. 2nd quarter. Roberts. And Roberts gets his head down at the 40-yard line.
And this is the effect that Charles Roberts has on a team. You see all the linebackers. Usually they're a little further back than this, but you have all 4 linebackers up on the line waiting to see Charles Roberts run the ball, and then they go back to a pass and leave the middle wide open for Derek Armstrong to catch the ball between the linebackers. So they're in a bind right now. They don't know whether to be up for the run or back for the pass.
2nd and 6, Winnipeg from the Toronto 40-yard line. Everything loaded to the left side, and Stiegel, I don't know where he was going. He was about 7 or 8 yards deep before the ball was even snapped.
Oh yeah, he was ready to go. I don't think he probably heard anything on this play.
Time count violation. Winnipeg number 5. The penalty makes the down. 3rd down. 3rd down, Winnipeg.
First mental error by Kevin Glenn.
Yeah, take that.
Loss of down.
Got to take that back on Mill Stiegel. He was looking at the clock. He's probably the only player on Winnipeg that saw that it was winding down.
Not a great time to come up with that penalty.
No.
Just under 2 minutes to play, 2nd quarter. And the Bombers are going to be forced to punt the ball.
And Barry is not happy about that one.
I said earlier how much he gets into the game. He's a very intense coach. He leaves nothing behind on the sidelines when the game is over.
We watch Kevin Glenn getting his guys together, making sure everybody is on the same page out there.
The punt from Troy Westwood will come from the 50-yard line. Dominic Dorsey standing just outside his own 5. And again, he has misjudged the booming punt from Troy Westwood. And Westwood can't believe perhaps he kicked it that far.
No,
he was trying to angle it, and it went through the end zone.
Trying to get it out of bounds, and didn't get the spot he wanted. But did add another point on the board.
Wednesday at 8:30, Mark Critch goes to Russia and claims red square for Canada on an all-new episode of This Hour's 22 Minutes. Catch it on a special day, Wednesday at 8:30 on CBC. There will be some splaining to do at halftime from Pinball Clemens, I'm sure, to both his offense and his defense.
Oh, yeah. You can't fault his defense too much. The offense really has to get it going. 1 point in the championship game in the first half is unacceptable.
Argos down by 11, 1st and 10 from their own 35. A little play action. Complete to Satut, and Satut goes down heavy just across the 40-yard line.
Jerron Bolden and Ike Charlton are making sure that people pay for it if they catch the ball out here today. These guys have come to play, and you see it every time they go out. You see Walls get in Bishop's face. He gets a nice one out to Satut. But Satut just doesn't have the fire that he's had in past games that I've seen. And that can happen sometimes when you're a young player out there in your first big stage.
Fall down, go bang. 2nd and 4 for the Argos. And the 41, Bishop had Arlan Bruce open, but just misfired.
Yeah, Michael Bishop is, he's going to have to settle down a little bit. He's been off on a few of his passes today, and they have been costly because you need to keep the ball moving, especially when Winnipeg is playing like it is on offense and holding on to the ball. You have to value every situation, every time you get the ball on offense. And Toronto is not making the most of their opportunities.
Bishop has only completed 3 of his last 10 passes. Not good stats from Bishop, who was brilliant in the final game of the year, the regular season for the Argos, against the Rough Riders. Prefontaine with a good spiral punt. Stokes at his own 15. He's got room. Stokes still on his feet. Stokes tripped up at the 40-yard line by Carter. Stokes needed one more man perhaps to get by, and he had a lot of real estate in front of him.
Stokes is a dangerous returner. I mean, the last time Toronto had a return against them, it was Stokes a few years ago.
At the half, just over a minute away, Elliott and the panel will analyze this game, talk about the Western final between the Riders and the Lions, and we'll have, back in the day, we revisit a famous Grey Cup game, the Mud Bowl. R.J. Franklin should have the first down for the Bombers.
Yeah, and the Bombers are they're going to make Toronto change what they are doing on defense, and that is not common. A lot of times you see Toronto dictating to offenses what they do. But here it is. Toronto is trying to run that match coverage. But Kevin Glenn is so quick with the ball out of his hands, he is beating it before they can even get into the coverage.
An 11-yard pickup, 1st and 10, Bombers from the 53. Again, Glenn with the quick pass, that time in and out of the arms of Charles Roberts.
Yeah, they basically run the same play against the same type of coverage. But Charles Roberts this time, not one of the regular receivers out there, not used to that ball getting on him as quickly as it did, and he drops this one.
This slow start on the part of the Argos, not unusual this season. They have stumbled on a number of occasions in the opening half.
No, and that's one of the positives about Toronto. They know how to fight through this type of start by the offense, by the defense, and come through games. They haven't won all of them pretty, but they've won a lot of games.
2nd and 10, Bombers. Glenn under pressure, brought down. Kevin Iben. He talked the talk. He's walking the walk.
You definitely can't say Kevin Iben isn't doing his part out there. He's making the big hits. He's meeting Charles Roberts in the hole. This time he comes on the edge on this play. You see him come on the right edge. The tackle this time for Winnipeg. And Gauthier just comes inside thinking that there's going to be a blitz, and he leaves Iben all to Kevin Glenn.
So it is now 3rd and 20 for the Bombers, thanks to that man, Kevin Iben.
I'm surprised the Argos didn't call a timeout with the clock moving.
Timeout.
There's the timeout. Thank you, Mr. Kreskin. Yes. Reading minds.
No, that's Mr. Crefo.
The great Crefo.
Yeah, they're going to have to make something happen before this half is over. They'd love to get some points.
Don't forget, Scotiabank hockey tonight goes at 6:30 Saturday, followed by Toronto at Phoenix. For the Ottawa region, Philadelphia Flyers take on the Senators. Game 2 of the doubleheader, the Chicago Blackhawks in Edmonton against the Oilers. Westwood will punt from his own 35. Dorsey standing just inside his own 20. Under a minute to play. Second quarter, another good spiral punt from Westwood, driving Dorsey back inside zone 10. Make that Arland Bruce. Bruce at the 20. Bruce up across the 25-yard line where Michael Bishop and the Argos offense may get one last chance to put some points on the board.
And you can tell the Argos were trying to make something happen on special teams on this play by going after this punt and almost get a rough in the kicker.
Don't forget those Grey Cup Classics running at midnight throughout the week, Monday to Friday during Grey Cup week. Some of the more memorable Grey Cup games ever played in different eras. We have an injured Bomber down on the field.
Yeah, we got Adrian Baird on this. As we look back on the kick, we see them come full-fledged. And I don't know how they didn't call this on Orlando Steinauer. He does contact the kicker on this play, but I guess they didn't feel like it was enough contact to call it.
So what do you do if you're Pinball Clemens in this situation? 33 seconds to play. You're down 12-1. The ball's at your own 25. Do you say to Bishop, air it out, take your chances, let's go for the home run?
You know what? 33 seconds is still a lot of time to go in a half with the clock stopping after every play. I would go for it at least on the first play, maybe the second play, and see if they get some positive yards. If they get positive yards on the first play, then you line them up and you just let them go with it. But if they don't, that's when you start running off the clock and you don't want any more damage done.
I would think the one thing that Michael Bishop needs right now is a shot of confidence.
He does, and he's been trying to do it with the deep ball, but he hasn't had any success with it. So when you keep trying and trying, the momentum goes away from you. He needs to get the momentum going with him.
Bishop. Complete to Arland Bruce. Bruce forced to go back and then gets up across the 30-yard line. Pickup will be 5 or 6 yards on the play.
Yeah, and you see Jerome Bolden again being a part of that. Now all Winnipeg wants to do is get into the locker room with the game looking like it is at 12-1. And they would be very satisfied with this in Toronto.
And here's a stat the Argo fans don't want to hear. The Bombers are 7-1 this season when they lead at the half. 2nd and 4 for the Argos. Bishop under pressure. Bishop gets the pass away, and it's complete.
That may have been what they needed, but unfortunately, there's 6 seconds left. Ran off all the time.
An unlikely receiver way downfield in Edwards.
Yeah, Edwards is probably not used to being down that far, but he knows what to do with it. When the ball comes, he jumps up, gets his chest, makes himself big, comes down with a foot in bounds, makes a nice play.
6 seconds remaining to play until halftime. 1st and 10 Toronto from the 50. Again, Bishop under pressure. Fires over the middle, in and out of the hands of Edwards. And that should end the opening half of play in the Eastern Final here at Rogers Centre in Toronto. And it's the Bombers who go into the room up by 11. Let's go down to Brenda Irving, who's standing by with the Bombers head coach. Brenda?
Doug Barry was saying earlier this week that if his team wanted to win today, they had to take advantage of every opportunity given to them. What do you think of the job they did in that regard in the first half?
We put together a nice drive offensively. We've done a tremendous job defensively, and our special teams have been real good so far. So if we can continue this through the second half, I think we stand a good chance of proceeding on it next week.
Well, one of your players said that at the half of last week's game, you guaranteed the win. Now, what's your prediction, or what will the message be to the troops this time?
Just continue playing like we are.
Thanks for this. Go back upstairs to Steve.
Thanks, Brenda. Doug Barry told us his team would not be intimidated by the Argo defense. They certainly weren't. They lead 12-1 at the half.
Here in Vancouver, Kerry Joseph, 500 yards total offense, arriving moments ago for the Rough Riders. He will be BC's greatest test. And there's Rob Murphy, the reigning CFL Offensive Lineman of the Year. He'll be protecting Jarius Jackson. That's after Toronto, where we go back next. The Argonauts down 12-1 at the half.
You get to go to the dance. You know, that's the crucial part of it, you know, that I try to get the guys to realize that you're one game away from the Grey Cup. And if you take care of business, you get your opportunity to be champions.
Baron Simpson and the Bombers a half away from going to the dance. Kahari Jones, I think, in large part to the play selection and execution of Kevin Glenn.
Yeah, Kevin Glenn is doing a fantastic job right now. I like the fact that he's getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He's doing the things that we saw him do against Montreal. He's not allowing Toronto to get into their coverage, and he's changing it up. And along with the running of Charles Roberts, they're making a formidable pair in the backfield right now.
Now, if you're Pinball Clemens, do you make the change? Do you go from Bishop to Rocky Butler? Henry Burris says no, don't change your quarterback.
Well, I definitely agree with Henry Burris being a quarterback myself, a former quarterback. But I think the thing is with Michael Bishop, he has been there before. He's done it. He's the only one that's won them games right now.
Let's go to Brenda Irving with the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, Pinball. Brenda?
Michael, Winnipeg obviously controlling the tempo, the rhythm of that game in the first half. What's the biggest adjustment you have to make?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we have to get first downs offensively, move the ball a little bit. Never got into any kind of continuity. Very important that we come out early in the second half here and get something started. We want to win the third quarter by 7 points. Then that puts the game within a touchdown. So win the third quarter by 7 points is what we need to do.
Under what circumstances would we see someone else lead this offense?
Right now, we won't entertain that. We're going to say Michael is going to take us.
Thanks for that.
All right, thank you.
Well, that answers the question that I'm sure all Argo fans were wondering about. Does he stay with Bishop or does he make the change? Pinball says he's going to go with the guy who got him to the dance.
Yeah, and I think you, like you said, he's not entertaining it right now. But again, if he sees some things in Bishop that don't look right, if he doesn't look like he's going to get himself out of it, then I think he might entertain it. But like I said, Bishop is the only quarterback who has won games for the Argos this year. So you have to go with who you brought to the dance.
And Pinball electing to go with his primary date, and that would be Michael Bishop. The Argos this season 11-1 with Bishop at the helm. So the Bombers with that 11-point lead. Kickoff. Troy Westwood, who has been booming everything, kickoffs and punts, will get this second half underway. And another good kick. Dorsey, he's got jets. He turns the corner and tripped up heavily at the 25-yard line. What a hit.
Oh, my goodness. Jamie Stoddard gets in there and turns him end over end. As we see another good kickoff by Troy Westwood. Dorsey gets the Jets going. This is the first time we see the speed come out. But Jamie Stoddard, gets him right on the knee, twists him around.
A big bounce off the field turf, courtesy of Jamie Stoddard. Avery and Edwards, both first-round NFL draft picks in the backfield. Now motion right. 1st and 10 Argos. They dump it over the middle. And Avery crosses the 31-yard line. Let's check the stats from that opening half.
Yeah, once we look at these stats, we see a lot of similarities between the team. Both have about the same amount of passing yards. The rushing yards, this is what is the difference. Charles Roberts, he's given them that extra threat, and only 11 rushing yards for Toronto. Again, with the first downs, Pinball mentioned it at halftime. They're not getting those first downs that they need on Toronto. This be a big play for them.
2nd and 7. The blitz was coming, and Bishop was looking for Tony Miles. Couldn't hook up with one of his favorite receivers.
Yeah, we see again Winnipeg changing it up. Anthony Malbrough coming from the side. to put pressure on Bishop. Bishop doesn't stay in there long enough to get a nice throw off. As we look at Bishop's passing chart, again, we see a lot of the short passing game. He was able to complete a few of them, but he's gone deep 5 times and not completed 1 ball, and that is a problem, especially early in this game. You have to credit a lot to the Winnipeg defensive backs, but also there were some placement issues that Bishop was having early on.
Bishop unable to complete back-to-back passes at any time this day, and that's one of the big problems for their offense. This is Stokes. Got around the corner, tripped up at the 50-yard line. A flag is down.
Yeah, and it looks like it was a hit in the back right when Stokes was getting started. But again, he gives them another weapon.
Scores 12-1 favor the Bombers. We have just begun the second half here at the Rogers Center.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers, Canada's most reliable wireless network.
Time to turn it on, baby. Almost, eh? Almost, little buddy. Huh?
Adrian O'Belly wearing the mic for us. We know that he is fired up for this second half. The question is, have the rest of the Argos defense knocked off the rust? The Bombers, 1st and 10 from their own 32. Play action to Roberts. Buys some time for Glenn. He's gone deep. Man open. Wilson dragged down just outside the 35-yard line.
Beautiful play by Winnipeg. They are ready to play today. Again, play action. They get O'Shea on the line to guard against Charles Roberts. So you see O'Shea over here. So that takes 1 linebacker out of the play. Kevin Ivan gets sucked into the play action, and it gives Wilson enough time to get downfield and beat Younger on the edge. This is one of the disadvantages to the way Toronto plays defense, is they're always looking at the quarterback.
A 45-yard gain has the Bombers 1st and 10 from the 33 to give to Roberts. Roberts crashes across the 30-yard line.
Again, Winnipeg mixing it up, getting Charles Roberts in there involved, letting them know, even though they get only 2-3 yards, they let them know. As we look at Kevin Glenn's passing chart, he has done it with the short pass all game, and that's all they needed him to do, to control the football with the short pass. The big one is this touchdown right here, putting the pressure on Toronto.
2nd and 7 Blue Bombers from the Toronto 30. Glenn. Argos were coming at that time with the blitz, but he completes it to Edwards. Edwards stopped at the 20-yard line.
Again, Kevin Glenn, it's right in his rhythm. The blitz doesn't even bother him right now because he's doing the same thing on blitz as if he would do on a regular pass. He's just taking 2 steps back. He's getting the ball out of his hands and getting the ball right to his receivers. If Toronto wants to stop this, they're going to have to start getting up into the faces of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers receivers and making Kevin Glenn hold on to the ball longer.
It's 1st and 10 Bombers from the Argos 21. Roberts, a little bit of a hole on the left side, loose ball. The Argos are saying they've got it. Argos ball. There was a timely turnover. That was it for the Argos.
Just what the doctor ordered. You see Fletcher coming up, getting the big hit on Charles Roberts before he knows it's even coming, knocking the ball out of his hands. Again, Fletcher comes right in the screen, gives him a shoulder, Belly comes from underneath, and Riel Johnson comes up with the ball. They needed that at that time.
1st and 10 Toronto on the turnover from the 20. Can they cash in? Avery with a hole. Avery close to the 1st down.
And I am surprised we have not seen John Avery sooner. The last couple of games, John Avery has been great out of the backfield. You can tell he had fresh legs. And this is what John Avery brings to the table. He can make those cuts. He has some of the quickest feet in the league still, makes very fast cuts, and gets up the field.
10-yard gain, 1st and 10 Argos from the 30. Avery. And Avery will have 5 yards on that carry.
Yeah, nice job. But this is the play that the Toronto Argonauts need, that 2nd down, big play. As we look at Avery coming off the field, he is hyped up. He wants the ball in this game. And I think they have to reward him for that.
And as much as the Bombers need Charles Roberts to get going, they need Avery.
Again, when you're playing against a tough defense, like both of these teams have, you need to have a running game. You need to mix it up. Right now, the Bombers had known all they were doing is passing. Avery gives them that run threat.
2nd and 5. Toronto look a little confused right now offensively. Bishop gets the pass away, but fires it into the turf here at Rogers Center. He was not set. I don't think he wanted to pass that ball at all.
No, he was not set, and the pressure is what kept him from being set on that play. Did you see Doug Brown getting a piece of him? They're just coming right up the middle. Doug Brown pushing Robert Edwards back into him. And Haywood making the hit before he even releases the ball.
So Toronto have squandered that turnover opportunity. They could not cash in and pick up either a field goal or a touchdown. Prefontaine will punt from his own 25-yard line. Stokes inside his own 30. Low spiral, good punt from Prefontaine at the 30. Stokes got a hole, still on his feet. Stokes could go. Stokes at the 10. Stokes, touchdown, Winnipeg.
Wow. Stokes making it happen. You knew this guy was explosive. I said it earlier, the last time that their kickoff or punt return against Toronto was Stokes. And Stokes does it again. All he needs is a little hole. O'Shea, one-on-one, no contest. Then he gets out front. Stokes and Prefontaine, he's going to win that battle every time. Stokes makes it happen. No flags on the play.
A pretty good punt from Prefontaine, but the key on that one was the 81-yard return for the touchdown for Keith Stokes. And now Troy Westwood will try to put the icing on the cake. The convert is good, and the Bombers continue to move closer to the big dance, the Grey Cup, here in Toronto. Bombers putting 7 points on the board, courtesy of Keith Stokes, with an 81 punt return for a touchdown. Collapsible pylons, a bottoms-up drinking game. I'm buying that one. An inflated hoodie for added comfort. Only the Dragons decide what makes the Grey. Join them in the Dragons' Den with an all-new episode Monday at 8 on CBC.
Oh, you have to credit Stokes on this. He sees Mike O'Shea one-on-one. O'Shea wants him to go outside, but he's moving his body outside. All Stokes needs is that, and he gets up the middle. And Stokes does the rest. O'Shea has to stay as solid as he can in there, but Stokes gets his body moving one way and takes off the other.
So the Argos are in a big hole. They have been there before. Remember the semifinal here at Rogers Center against the same Bombers last year. They dug themselves out of a hole. Dorsey crosses the 35-yard line.
And this is a little different for Toronto. This is almost uncharted territory because in a game of this magnitude, when your quarterback is not playing up to standards and you haven't had anything happen well on offense so far, this is going to be one tough hole to dig themselves out of.
That was a big question coming into this Eastern final. Which Michael Bishop would show up? The one that played so well against Regina at Mosaic Stadium, or the other one? So far we've seen the other one. Bishop rolling out, gets the pass away, going deep, had his man open, but he threw it too far. He was looking for Arlen Bruce.
Yeah, and he's been trying Arlen Bruce over and over again. But again, the Bombers know where he wants to go deep with the ball. When he does roll out, like Greg Frere says, he cuts off half of the field. So it allows Kyrese Hebert to not worry about the whole left side of the field, just run toward Arlen Bruce. And it makes him have to throw a perfect throw, which Bishop hasn't been able to do today.
And for the first time this afternoon, we're hearing the Boo Birds greet Michael Bishop as he goes off the field to get some words. Comes back in. Let's see what he can do now. And that ball is tipped. Here's Brenda Irving. Brenda?
And you were talking about Ike Charlton and about Arlen Bruce. Well, I asked Ike how this defense has been able to be so successful against the Argos receiver. He said they're jamming him, trying to get their hands on him from the line of scrimmage, making his life miserable, something he said other teams haven't been very successful at this season.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with him, but Arlen Bruce is beating the first guy. As you see this time, it's Jerron Bolden on this play, and he gets past him, but Kyrese Hebert is always there. What I see right now with Toronto is they're only bringing one guy deep, Arlen Bruce, over and over again, which makes it easy for Hebert.
Bishop 1 for 5 for 3 yards.
It's a problem. It is a problem. You need your quarterback to play well in the biggest game of the year, and Bishop is not playing up to those standards. With only 1 point halfway into the third quarter, I think this is when you start thinking about making that change. When you know that this game is win or go home, you want to get somebody in there that can change the momentum a little bit. So I'd be surprised if I don't see somebody warming up on the sideline.
Chad Folk, the injured Argo, on the field. Prefontaine's punt taken by Stokes. And this time he only gets out to the 35-yard line, but a flag thrown on the play.
Yeah, it usually means on the defense, but Stokes has done his job by putting points on the board. So basically now it's about not getting turnovers and keeping the ball in the offense's hands for a while.
And special teams was a problem for the Bombers early in the season.
Number 8, 10-yard penalty, first down.
But Doug Barry said they have really improved, and they've certainly been a key in this one.
Yeah, that has been a positive for them as you look at Stokes and his return, but also the kicking of Troy Westwood. He's been punting the ball very nicely. He's been kicking off very nicely, and all that means is field position for a very good defense. As you look at the Argos, 9 punts, totally unacceptable at this point in the game. They need to generate some things offensively.
Michael Bishop in conversation with Rocky Butler. There's Damon Allen to the right of your screen. Will we see Rocky Butler in the game? Kevin Glenn from the shotgun gives to Charles Roberts. Roberts has to stop and try to cut to his left. No running room there for Sir Charles that time.
And this is the time that the Toronto defense has to turn offensive-minded. They have to try to generate points. This is what they've done throughout this year, is when the offense is struggling, they make things happen. As you see Michael Fletcher, he's not just going for the tackle on this play. He is going for the ball. And you're going to see them continually take chances, both at the linebackers and the defensive backs, trying to get the ball from Winnipeg.
The Argos so good in the takeaway department over the course of the regular season. They need a couple now. Glenn from the shotgun. Armstrong across the 42-yard line with the reception. Younger defending.
Kevin Glenn is in a zone. He is seeing the field nicely. He sees this time that they look like they're in a blitz, but they come out of it. So he holds on to the ball just an extra second and gets the ball out to Armstrong. Again, that Armstrong and Younger, Armstrong is getting the best of them time and time again.
All Damon Allen can do is stand and watch. Have we seen the last of Damon Allen? Roberts crosses the 45-yard line before he's brought down.
it's not even about scoring right now for Winnipeg. They are already thinking about the time in this game. I know it's the third quarter, but the way their defense is playing, they just want to continue to get first down. Again, that's been their whole philosophy this game. Kevin, just throw the ball short. He wants short routes, keep moving the ball, keep getting those first downs, and good things will happen.
2nd and 6 for Winnipeg from the 47-yard line. They lead 19-1. Blitz, and the ball is underthrown.
And he is pretty fortunate that that ball was underthrown, because Kenny Wheaton had a bead on that ball. And if it was thrown where he wanted it to be, then Kenny Wheaton was going back for 7 on that one. So sometimes it's good to be lucky.
So the Argos defense have done their part of the job. Now let's see how the Argos offense responds following this punt from Troy Westwood. The punt will come from the 35-yard line. Dominic Dorsey backed up to his 22. He has misread the punting of Westwood so far in this game. Is he giving him a little bit more field this time around?
I don't think he knows where Westwood is going to punt the ball. So he's...
Westwood angling it over to the side. Dorsey inside the 20, after 25, 30. And Dorsey tripped up by Reed just shy of the 35-yard line. So when we come back, Michael Bishop and the Argos will have the ball.
It ain't over. It's a long game. But 10 points.
No one's got higher expectations of what I do on the field than myself personally. I expect to be perfect out there. And pressure is all a matter of interpretation.
Well, I wouldn't say he's been perfect, but he's certainly been energized. He's having a good game, and he's really getting into this one physically.
Oh yeah, you can tell he's into it. You know, when the kickers start mixing it up a little bit, you know that this is a big game. And he didn't like how Hardy and Shaw were treating his teammate and let him know about it. I like that.
Argos on offense. In the second half, they've had 3 possessions and managed a total of 18 yards. Bishop has his man open. Situ down inside the 30-yard line. That one gets the fans back into this in a hurry.
Oh yeah, they needed something, and Michael Bishop gives it to him. Play action. I always thought Michael Bishop was very good with the play action pass. And he gets back there, he makes his read quickly, gets the ball off to Situ. Situ does the rest.
The ball spotted just inside the 30-yard line, a 42-yard pickup. 1st and 10, Toronto. Bishop guns it, almost picked off. Again, he was looking for Situ.
Again, Robert Bean is making his presence felt out there. What you like to see with defensive backs is that they're touching the ball before the offensive team is touching it. And again, this is all about Bishop and placing of the ball. Situ was open inside, but Robert Bean, as soon as he throws it behind him, he gets a hand on it.
2nd and 10 Argos from the 29-yard line of the Blue Bombers. Bishop from the shotgun. Bishop over the middle, and he overthrows the intended target, the veteran Mookie Mitchell.
And Mookie Mitchell had him. He was up against Ike Charlton. They need Bishop to make that play. He gets the blitz. He gets the protection on the blitz that he wants. Kyrese Bear comes from up the middle. Robert Edwards picks him up. Bishop has to make that throw. Again, as we see Kyrese Bear coming right through, Robert Edwards gets a touch on him. Again, he does not read where Mookie Mitchell is going.
So that brings on Noel Prefontaine. He missed a field goal in the opening quarter. This will be from 36 yards out. And it's blocked. Knocked straight up up in the air, and the Bombers are there to pick it up, and a flag is thrown.
Jerome Haywood. He's already got a few hits on Bishop. Now he gets the big block inside. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have come to play. You see the push that Hayward.
No yards. Toronto number 58. It's a 15-yard penalty. It becomes first down Winnipeg.
Again, you see Haywood right in the middle. He is a master at getting push in there, and then he's only 5'9", playing defensive tackle, but he gets a hand up, gets enough to make the big block.
And no yards tacked on for good measure, and that winds up giving the Bombers a 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Just over 3 minutes to play, third quarter in the Eastern Final. Roberts. And Roberts comes up just shy of the 40-yard line.
And I'm telling you, it's all about peaking at the right time. You talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers special teams, and they have had problems throughout this year with finding a punter, with missed field goals, with not getting the returns that they want. And now they've turned that negative into a positive in the biggest game of the year and beating the Toronto Argonauts at what they do best, which is special teams and defense.
The Bombers showing very little after effects of that win over Montreal in the semifinal. It has worked against the Argos. They look rusty. This is Roberts. And Roberts going nowhere on that handoff from Kevin Glenn. Fletcher there to make the stop.
And Fletcher has made it his personal mission now to stop Charles Roberts. He has said enough of that. Wherever Charles Roberts goes, I'm going, and he has made some big plays. He got the fumble early on this quarter, and now he's made a couple of big stops on Charles Roberts.
So once again, the Argos defense have done their job as Westwood comes into the game for Winnipeg to get the punt away from the 30-yard line. Westwood with a good high spiral. Dorsey inside his 25. Back to the 25 and forced out of bounds at the 28-yard line. So once again, Michael Bishop and the Argos offense will get their opportunity. Once again, Michael Clemens staying with his starting quarterback, Michael Bishop. He has not made the change to either Rocky Butler or Damon Allen. Previous East Finals between these two teams had some interesting battles down through the years. And remember, the winner from those games has gone on to win the Grey Cup. Edwards. Good play selection. That time a fumble right into the arms of the Bombers.
And guess who? Jerome Haywood coming up with the fumble now. This guy is everywhere. The Toronto Argonauts just could not shoot straight. They get a great play with the mixing it up with the screen, but Edwards, and you see, as we look at Edwards on the catch, we see his arm away from his body. That is a no-no for running backs. They hold him up long enough to fly that ball out of his hands. Again, Ike Charlton comes in. They make the big hit on him with Barron Simpson leading the way.
Chalk another one up for the Bombers defense. 1st and 10 for Kevin Glenn and company. Stiegel down just outside the 20-yard line of the Argos.
Oh, yeah, they're just hitting on all cylinders, this Winnipeg team. You see them offensively, they're in a groove right now. Defensively, they're doing what they need to do. As we see Kevin Glenn, we've seen it time and time again. He can almost do this with his eyes closed now. He knows what Toronto is trying to do against him. He takes 2 steps back, and he gets the ball out to his receivers quickly, lets them get an opportunity to go downfield with the ball.
All the momentum is in the favor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at this point. They lead 19-1. Everything they've done has worked out perfectly in this game so far. The veteran Damon Allen wondering if he'll get a chance to do what Michael Bishop did last year in the semi, come on in relief of the starter. But right now, it is Kevin Glenn, 1st and 10 with the Bombers, double tight from the 23. Roberts picks his spot.
And Charles Roberts is just a workhorse for this team. They're bringing him inside, outside, wherever. They know they can count on 4 to 5 yards every time. This time they go with the double tight ends. They're getting the blocks up front. Again, you see where this line of scrimmage is. He doesn't even get touched until he is 4 yards down the field.
Charles Roberts missed the final 2 regular season games, played in the semifinal. I think that rest helped Charles Roberts. The Bombers are now 2nd and 6 from the Toronto 19. Should be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Glenn from the shotgun. Gets the pass away. It's complete to Wilson. Wilson down to the 5-yard line. I said everything's working perfectly for the Bombers as the gun goes. The 3rd quarter is over. Winnipeg with a 19-1 lead. Always the cheerleader, and a very effective one. Now he's saying we've got 1 quarter left in this season unless we turn things around. And how's this for a stat? In their history, the Bombers have never lost a game on November 18th. Talk about good karma. Right now, they are 1st and goal from the 5. Fumble! The Argos are saying they've got it. Turnover, but even more importantly, maybe a significant injury to the Bombers quarterback, Kevin Glenn.
Oh, and you hate to see that. You don't want to see Kevin Glenn holding his arm after such a fantastic game. He tries to dive on that ball, and it doesn't look good for Kevin, and it's very unfortunate. It looked like it was a read handoff. He had the option of either giving the ball to Charles Roberts or not. And Kevin Glenn is not moving that left arm. Oh, you hate to see that.
Let's take a look at that again. It could be really significant.
Well, you know what? Charles Roberts just gets too wide. And his arm, as Kevin Ivan dives in there, it looks like he dives right on his left arm. And he gets his arm in a bad position.
Ryan Dinwiddie is the backup, and he's warming up on the Bombers bench right now, but it's Argos ball. 1st and 10 from their own 7. Bishop still the quarterback. Bishop going deep. Had Satut open. Satut couldn't turn himself around and get to the ball.
No, he had the one-on-one that he wanted. Robert Bean versus Satut. Robert Bean has been getting the best out of this matchup, but he had Satut on this play. Satut just tries to make a turn for that ball and doesn't come up with it. I like what Toronto was trying to do, though. They moved the pocket one way. He ran back and went the other way.
The medical staff of the Bombers doing what no Bomber fan wanted to see, looking at the arm of their starting quarterback, Kevin Glenn. Bishop back, passing from the end zone. A wide open man. This could go. Bruce has got blocking, still on his feet, and then finally brought down at the 12-yard line.
Do not look away yet, folks. This game is not over. Arlen Bruce finally getting involved in this game. Beautiful
It's a 90-yard pickup for Bruce and the Argos. Moving it down to the 13-yard line. Avery through the middle. Gets it down to about the 7 or 8-yard line of the Bombers. Remember a year ago in that semifinal.
He has pulled it out before, Arlen. Michael Bishop has.
There's Ryan Dinwiddie. He has only thrown 24 passes for the Bombers this season.
Yeah. Winnipeg would hate to lose Kevin Glenn at this point in time.
They'd hate to lose him at any time.
Any point in time.
Especially now. 2nd and 5. Bishop has a man open the end zone. A good catch down to the 1-yard line. Talbot couldn't get in.
Michael Bishop again showing that arm strength off. Wide side Talbot is. He runs an out pattern. He gets it out to him. But Jerron Bolden is there to keep him out of the end zone. And again, that's still running time off of the clock. And we know how good Winnipeg is on 3rd and goal line situations.
First and goal. Touchdown, Argos. Bishop on the quarterback sneak. Now Prefontaine will attempt to convert. It's good. It is now 19-8. Favor Winnipeg with a lot of time to play. 11:39. This is not a sight the Bomber fans wanted to see. Kevin Glenn going off in the cart, favoring that arm. It looks like it might be broken. I'm speculating. It's been a tough year on quarterbacks.
Yeah, really.
Anthony Calvillo, Ricky Ray, Dave Dickinson, Henry Burris at one point in time. And Michael Bishop with a broken arm. This is Stokes at the 20, 25. Out to the 31. Now the Bombers offense have got to suck it up and play with Ryan Dinwiddie as their quarterback.
Yes, they do. And Dinwiddie doesn't have a lot of experience. As you say, only 24 passes this year with Kevin Glenn taking all of the load. But he has fared well in the 24. But this is a different animal. Against Toronto, Toronto feasts on young quarterbacks. So I suspect that Charles Roberts is going to play a big role in the rest of this game. Even bigger than he already has.
This is a big series for Winnipeg. They're up 19-8. They're 1st and 10 from their own 31, and we get a flag thrown in the Bombers' backfield. If that's what I think it is, too many men on the field.
Illegal substitution, 13 men in the huddle. Winnipeg, it's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
O'Neal Wilson comes running off late. This is what happens when your leader is not in the game. People start worrying about things. People try to do more than their job. And it's going to be Dinwiddie's job to calm these guys down, let him know that he's in control.
1st and 10 for Ryan Dinwiddie and the Bombers offense. If you're just joining us, Kevin Glenn, who did such a great job at quarterback for the Bombers, is off the field with what we suspect is a broken arm. We'll get Brenda Irving working on that. The crowd has come alive here at Rogers Centre in Toronto. Dinwiddie to Armstrong. It wasn't pretty, but it worked.
No, he got it out there. Looked a little shaky on that first one, but Armstrong comes up with the play. Believe me, Toronto is looking to get a turnover right now with Dinwiddie. If they're going to have him throwing the ball and putting it up like that, then they are thinking that they can do what they do best, which is generate points for their team.
This is a very good defense. Can they force another turnover? 2nd and 14 for the Bombers. They're showing blitz. Flag is thrown. That looks like it might be procedure.
Oh, definitely.
Here's Brenda Irving with more on Kevin Glenn. Brenda?
Well, Steve, I'm standing right outside the Bombers locker room, and I just saw Kevin Glenn as he went off the cart and into the dressing room in obvious pain, wincing, holding the left wrist. But definitely he's in a great deal of pain right now, Stephen Curry.
Not good news for Bomber fans. Matt Sheridan, the veteran offensive lineman, offside that time. Moving too quickly, too early. All of a sudden, this is not Rogers Center, it's the Noise Dome.
Yes, it is. They are smelling blood right now.
This is the CFL. There's an eternity to play. 10.5 minutes. Anything can happen.
Timer, start the clock on my ready.
Bud Steen asking the timer to start it on his signal. 2nd and 19 for the Bombers. Dinwiddie's going to run it. Dumps it off to Roberts. Roberts still on his feet. Roberts does his best to get the first down. But he's well short. But it wasn't through lack of effort.
No, he tried his best out there, but it hurts when you have those penalties that they have. A lot of those penalties are just from having a different quarterback in there. You see Matt Sheridan go off the ball too soon because he's used to Kevin Glenn's snap count. Now he has to deal with Ryan Dinwiddie's snap count. So there are a lot of things that are going on with the offense. And you see how valuable your quarterback really is.
The momentum has clearly swung in favor of the Argos. Westwood with the punt. Dorsey lets it bounce. He's inside the 30, looking for room, and he's forced out of bounds at the 33-yard line. So when we come back, Michael Bishop and the Argos will have the ball and try once again to close the gap. Here at the Rogers Center, just over 10 minutes to play. The Bombers have the lead, but the Argos have the ball. They'll be 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line. Michael Bishop from the shotgun. Completes it. Avery. Avery should have the first down.
Yeah, Avery again. They go back to the screen. Instead of Robert Edwards this time, they go with Avery. Guy with quicker feet, can make things happen in there. I don't see why they're not using Avery more than they are. Avery looks like he is ready to play in this game. And again, oh, nice hit up front on the screen. Looks like Taylor Robertson.
A gain of 12. 1st and 10, Toronto from the 45. Bishop under pressure, gets the pass away. He had 2 receivers there. Neither Bruce nor Talbot unable to hang on.
No, and you never want to see 2 receivers in the same spot. You know something went wrong with this play. Looks like they had the double outs again, something they've been using a lot. But Arlen Bruce just gets out pretty far into Talbot's line of vision, and Bishop tries to fit it in there.
Pinball liking perhaps more than he has earlier today what he sees from his offense and Michael Bishop, but they are 2nd and 10 from their own 45. Parker is in. Bishop. He was looking for Satut, but again, the Winnipeg secondary comes up big.
Yeah, the Winnipeg secondary has been playing fantastic football. Save for the one pass to Arlen Bruce, they have done their job today. Every time they try to go to Satut, they're having problems. Again, Michael Bishop has the pressure in front of him. You see Doug Brown, Gavin Walls hitting him right in the chest, right when he releases the ball. And then Anthony Malbrough coming up with the big play. They keep trading it off, but those guys are playing football.
Bishop off, and Noel Prefontaine into punt. A beauty. High spiral. Stokes will watch this bounce into the end zone. And Stokes will try to kill us in seconds. But the Argos pick up a big point. A 75-yard punt.
Welcome back to Toronto, where the Blue Bombers are leading the Argonauts 19-9. And as everyone knows, the Grey Cup will be held here at Rogers Centre next Sunday. But on Friday night is another championship game. It's the Vanier Cup. And here are the two teams that advance. And some would call this one an upset. In Halifax yesterday, number 2 ranked St. Mary's played near perfect football, en route to a 24-2 win over the previously undefeated Laval team, the top-ranked team in the country. And number 3 ranked Manitoba made a huge play, build up a hefty halftime lead to defeat Western by a score of 52-20. Steve?
Thank you, Brenda. Go Huskies, go. Once a Husky, always a Husky. They give to Charles Roberts, and Ivan makes a big hit on Sir Charles.
Yeah, and the defense is doing their job right now. All they want to do is get the ball back to the offense and give them an opportunity to score. You know they're not going to do a whole lot with Ryan Dinwiddie. It's only his second year. He got in mid-August last year. Hasn't played a whole lot, so they're not going to chance it. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you don't expect to see anything go too far downfield. Maybe a screen or two, maybe a short pass, but nothing to hurt the Blue Bombers.
Right now, the Bombers want nothing but ball control. 2nd and 7. They were coming. Dinwiddie puts it up. Oh, what a catch! Armstrong with a one-handed catch as Dinwiddie airs it out.
Just like I said, watch for Dinwiddie to go long. I mean, you want the guy to air it out. Why not? You don't go against tight. Oh, my goodness. Again, Armstrong is just beating the corners of Toronto Argonauts. And they get up in his face and they pay the price. Dinwiddie just lays it out there, gives Armstrong a chance, and he comes up with a big catch.
Well, the last couple of games, Armstrong has had a few problems. He just made up for it with one catch right there. A 37-yard pickup. Roberts off the left side down towards the 30-yard line.
You see how much Charles Roberts wants this. He is not slowing down at all once he hits the hole. He's speeding up once he hits the hole. The linebackers, the line is still doing an outstanding job up front. You see Osterhaus in there. Defensive tackle that comes in to play tight end. They don't care who's in there, quarterback, they want to succeed.
It's been a war in the trenches. The Sweaters tell that story. 2nd and 5 for Winnipeg from the Toronto 30-yard line.
And again, young quarterback, time count violation.
That is just pure inexperience.
Time count violation. Winnipeg, number 4. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
And Barry is a little angry because he's claiming they got that play off.
Don't forget, we want you to log on to cbcsports.ca and vote for the warrior of the game, the player you think showed the heart and determination of a warrior. We'll show you the winner in our post-game show. Warrior of the game, brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. A whole bunch of players could earn that warrior tag in this one. Dinwiddie over the middle, complete down to the 10-yard line. Could be a touchdown. It is! Touchdown Bombers!
Dinwiddie! He doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but he is making it happen. They say that no one had touched Edwards. Challenge flag is out on that. I thought he was touched, but the referee is right there. As we watch it again, Dinwiddie again, he reads them. They come out of the blitz, sees Terrence Edwards open right over the middle. I don't think they did touch him. Again, as we watch it closely, oh, he touches him on the way up, but is he up by the time that he touches him?
Toronto is challenging the touchdown on the play, questioning down by contact. We will review the play.
Well, Bud Steen is going under the hood on that challenge from Pinball Clemens. And Kahari thinks he's got a case.
I think he has a case, but they're going to have to check this one out a couple of times, because I didn't see a hand of Kenny Wheaton touch him, but is Edwards up? He doesn't touch him, doesn't touch. His knee might be on the ground when Kenny Wheaton's knee touches him, but I'm not all the way positive. And he's down. Yep, I think he was being touched when his knee was on the ground. So I think that this one will come back.
Again, it has to be conclusive.
It has to be conclusive. And believe me, George Black up top, Bud Steen down low, they're going to slow this down as slowly as they can make it to get this call right. Such a big call at this part of the game.
George Black, head of CFL officials, the man in the white shirt, is screening this with Bud Steen.
Yeah, and again, we see it. There's no touch, no touch. If you freeze it right there, his knee is still down, but his knee is up right then, and I don't know if Kenny Wheaton's knee was touching him at that time. Oh. I'm going to make a call because I know it's going to be wrong. I'm going to say they're going to overturn this. It looks like his knee was on the ground when it happened, but as you all know, I've been wrong before.
My partner is going out on the limb, and I've just handed him the saw. And what a huge challenge it could turn out to be, because if this touchdown stands, Winnipeg could end up at the dance.
Oh, yeah, and even if the touchdown doesn't stand, they are in perfect position right now. They're moving the ball with their backup quarterback in the game in Dinwiddie, something that Toronto probably could have never imagined in a million years. I mean, Winnipeg is playing a fantastic football game.
Here's Bud Steen. Could be the call of the game.
On review, the Toronto player touched the Winnipeg receiver while he was on the ground. It will be first down Winnipeg on the 4.5-yard line.
Well, the good news is the Bombers still have possession. That's bad news for Pinball. They're down at the 4.5-yard line.
Yeah, and I don't know what's good or bad about this, because now it allows Winnipeg to take more time off of the clock, which Toronto is not only playing against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now, they are playing against the clock. They need to get a stop, and they need to get the ball back in order to get some points on the board.
What a story that man has written. Ryan Dinwiddie, the backup. Nobody expected to see him in this game. And you and I both know, as former backups, how tough it is to come in off the bench and lead a team at this late stage in the game.
Exactly, and that's where the preparation comes in.
Dinwiddie has been perfect passing.
4
for 4 for 85 yards. And now we're going to get further review.
Oh, my goodness.
From the booth.
From the booth. So George Black must have saw something that he wanted them to discuss even further.
It could be the positioning of the football, where he was down.
Exactly. They've already deemed that he was down by contact. Now they want to get the position of the ball right, which is understandable. Again, this is the playoffs. Everybody wants to be right.
The ball will be placed on the 5.5-yard line rather than the 4.5-yard line. First down.
A yard difference.
That's it. Hey, a yard could mean the difference. We saw it last week.
Made a huge difference in the Montreal game.
Yeah.
Montreal couldn't punch it in from the 1, and then they couldn't keep the drive alive late in the game, needing less than a yard. So, yes, a yard does make a difference. It is first and goal to go for the Bombers from just outside the 5-yard line. Double tight for the Bombers. Dinwiddie, the quarterback. Roberts, the ball carrier, and Roberts tripped up as he crossed the line of scrimmage. His forward momentum may give him a couple of yards.
Yeah, he tried to jump over the pile, almost made it over everybody, but got tripped up. It looked like Fletcher was in there, but they are bringing everybody up. The Toronto Argonauts are. You see them. They have 9 guys on the line. Steinhauer comes out wide. Ivan, again, making his presence felt in there, coming outside and just getting enough of Charles Roberts' leg to keep him from the end zone.
Can the Argos defense do what the Bombers defense did last week? Second to go from the 3, fumble, loose ball. Argos look like they may have picked it up. They have.
He saw Kevin Ivan going around the edge, but he decides to try to keep it. Charles holds on to it. Fumble again. 3rd fumble today. They should be blowing Toronto out.
Kevin Ivan and the Argos defense once again rising to the occasion, giving the ball back to Michael Bishop and the Argos offense. Argos now 1st and 10 from the 9. Bishop to Avery. Avery with some room. Avery still on his feet, pushed out a play at the 22-yard line by Tom Canada.
The Bombers, for how good they are playing, if they have troubles in this game, it's going to come down to these turnovers. 3 turnovers in the red zone, but still, Bishop has to do something with it. He's only been able to generate 1 touchdown drive so far, and the time is running out in this game.
A 13-yard pickup, 1st and 10 Toronto from their own 22. Bishop to Satut. Satut has been his go-to man throughout this Eastern final, and he has the 1st down.
And the Toronto Argonauts are finally going back to doing what they've done in the past. Dropping Michael Bishop back, letting him review the whole field, and then make his read and go downfield.
No huddle. Bishop calling it from the line. Bishop going deep. He's got a man open. Unbelievable. Talbot was there. The ball was there, but he couldn't hang on. And we've got another injured Bomber on the fly. Sharon Bolden.
That's Sharon Bolden holding his hamstring, as we see. This time Bishop does get the throw right where he wants it. He throws it out. And Talbot does not come up with the ball. He has it in his hands. You got to come up with that. This is the last game, as you see Jerron Bolden holding his hamstring.
We saw that on the last Toronto offensive series. 2 receivers that close together.
Again, you're seeing both of them. I'm assuming both of them have seams down the field, but Arlen Bruce has to stay in his lane. Arlen Bruce is getting outside of that seam lane, brings his guy over, Kelly Malvo. If he's not over there, then Talbot has that no problem and can probably run after the catch. But he sees interference over there, just enough interference to get the ball out of his hands. But still, that's no excuse. Talbot, it touched both hands. You got to come up with that.
One of the heroes for Winnipeg in last week's big semifinal win over Montreal. Tuesday at 8, former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien teaches Rick a thing or two about reading a good book, while over at Little Mosque on the Prairie, paranoia runs rampant in Mercy. An all-new episode, a special day and time, Tuesday at 8:30 on CBC. Sam Young will be the replacement for Jerron Bolden.
Jerron Bolden has been dealing with a whole lot of things. His back went out on him this year and missed a lot of games. Got dinged up a little bit last game, and now it looks like a hamstring is going to limit limit his running ability, so Sam Young comes into the game.
He was asked about those back spasms, back problems last week, and he said, this is the semifinal. I had to play through the pain, and he certainly did. And don't forget the second half of our playoff doubleheader this afternoon. Kent Austin, Kerry Joseph, and the Rough Riders at BC Place Stadium in Vancouver to take on Wally Buono's BC Lions. The BC Lions attempting to do what Buono teams have never done in the past, and certainly the BC Lions haven't done, and that is win back-to-back Grey Cups. But first, the Lions would have to get by a very tough Rough Rider team. That coming up immediately following this Eastern Final. Bishop has time, and again, he had a man open. Tony Miles couldn't hang on.
Yep, and you got to credit Cam Hall for that. Number 40 comes into the play, doing what a linebacker does in zone coverage, finding out when somebody comes into your zone and then going with them. Cam Hall does a fantastic job. He sees Miles try to get in behind him, and he doesn't allow it by putting his hands up.
The Argos are going to gamble. They have to gamble. They're down 19-9, 3:28 to play. A third down situation, 3rd and 10 from their own 36. Bishop out of the shotgun. And the play is blown down. Flag is thrown.
Yeah, and looks like illegal procedure on Toronto.
Procedure. Toronto, 59, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
And I almost think this helped them out, because if they don't make this, then this game is definitely over. But with 3 minutes to go with the clock stopping after every play, they need some good field position. And pinning the Blue Bombers back might be the best move for them right now.
Well, that takes a gamble out of Pinball's hands at 3rd and 15. So Prefontaine gets the call. Bishop and Damon Allen can only watch. It's a good high spiral from Prefontaine. Stokes inside the 30. Stokes dropped in his tracks at the 35-yard line by John Williams. So Ryan Dinwiddie will come back into action and lead the Blue Bombers offense. Bombers up 19-9. And just over 3 minutes away from advancing to the Grey Cup, set for next Sunday here at Rogers Centre in Toronto.
What you see here with Winnipeg is an excited team. They wanted to be in this position, but they're having trouble closing the deal. They've been down into the red zone, inside the 10-yard line twice, not able to put up any points. But Dinwiddie has done a good job in relief.
Charles Roberts, and Roberts close to the 40-yard line. So when we come back, the Bombers will see if they can retain possession and keep the drive alive. The clock is running. 2:39 to play here at the Rogers Centre in the Eastern Final. Bombers on top, 19-9. They are 2nd and 5 from their own 40. Roberts, no surprise there, but he doesn't get the first down.
That means the Toronto Argonauts did their job on defense, which was to keep them from getting a first down in that situation. One of the things in the past that has haunted Toronto is not being able to stop the run. But in this situation, they do the job.
Toronto!
Sharon Bolden, the latest Blue Bomber casualty. He's got some ice on that left thigh. Kevin Glenn, the starting quarterback for the Bombers, left the game with an injured arm. Looked like it might be broken. My partner has his cell phone on and is awaiting the call for the Bombers, who retired his jersey earlier this year. Guys, Kahari Jones' number is...
yeah, they still own my rights. I told them I got about 6 throws in me, so use them wisely.
This is the 10th punt of the afternoon for a very busy Troy Westwood. And it's a good one. Dorsey chased all the way back inside the 15, at the 20, 25, still on his feet. Here comes Dorsey! Dorsey across the midfield stripe. Just over 2 minutes to play. The Argos will have possession, trailing by 10.
And the Bombers have to thank Fred Reed for stopping this potential touchdown by Dorsey. Fred Reed gets on his horse. We know he's fast. He needed to be fast to stop a Dorsey at full speed.
A 50-yard punt and a 39-yard return. If ever the Argos needed one, they just got one from Dominic Dorsey, who was brought in to do just that. The Argos are 1st and 10 from the Bombers' 54. Just over 2 to play. Bishop is sacked. Hayward, who has had an outstanding game for the Bombers, gets in on top of Michael Bishop.
Oh my goodness, you can tell that guy wants to win. I got to vote for Warrior of the game, and it is Haywood. I mean, he's blocked a field goal. He gets in there. This guy is dangerous.
Had 5 sacks over the course of the regular season. None bigger than that one in the Eastern Final. 2nd and 18 now for the Argos from the 47. Bishop almost taken down. Still on his feet. Gets the ball away to Edwards. But Edwards doesn't get to the first down marker.
That is all effort by Bishop right now. He wants to win this game, as you can tell. Again, Hayward gets in there, but he gives way to Doug Brown. They run a little stunt in the middle. Doug Brown just misses. Tom Canada gets his hands on Bishop, but Bishop will not be denied. Finds Robert Edwards just before he goes down.
Another 3rd and must for the Argos. They need 2 yards. They're going to put it up. Bishop has the time. He has a man. Arlon Bruce. Is it complete or was it trapped?
They're saying it was trapped. I thought it was complete. That will have to be a booth review. As we look at this ball. Oh, no, they are correct. He got... Arlen Bruce tries to get his hands down low. The ball goes right between his legs. The referee's fantastic call.
Excellent call on the part of the officials. But they're still going to go upstairs, I think. From our vantage point and from what we've seen on the replay, there's no question.
The replay official wants us to take a look at that last play. We'll do so.
I understand why they want to look at this play, but I think this is going to be a short one.
Ask for this
You
defense,
can tell
you got it.
right off the bat.
Got it today, baby.
How could you not vote for that man for Warrior of the game?
Oh, my goodness. He has played football today, as you can tell. And you see Arlen Bruce trying to get low for that ball. He gets his hands underneath it. But the ball just flows right through his hands, right to the ground. And referees were right on top of it.
That will be an easy call, I'm sure, for George Black and Bud Steen. Here it is.
On review, it was an incomplete pass. It is 1st down, Winnipeg.
So the Argos, who could not afford it, have turned over the ball on downs to Ryan Dinwiddie and the Blue Bombers offense, who will be 1st and 10 from their own 47, up by 10 points with 1:25 to play.
Yeah, Pitbull's look says it all as his wife looks on. This was something that they were really wanted, especially with it being here, Diane Clemens. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Dinwiddie hands off to Roberts. Roberts across the midfield stripe. And that's all the Bombers have to do is give it to Charles from this point on and try and eat up those precious seconds.
Charles Roberts has been a man possessed this game. There's no doubt about it. He has really been the catalyst for what they can do on offense, making those linebackers really pay attention to him.
Second and 2 for the Bombers. Roberts, 24 carries for 105 yards. don't think he's got the first down there.
No first down, but he has done his job. As we go to the game notes, starting on Winnipeg, the longest yard, Charles Roberts got the longest yard, 106 rushing yards. He did just what they needed him to do. And Raging Bull, that whole defense was a Raging Bull. They only allowed 1 TD, 31 rushing yards. You got to give Haywood a lot of credit up front. And for Toronto, all the right moves. Michael Bishop has had all the right moves so far, but not today. He was 11-1 as a starter, 320 yards passing, but that doesn't tell the story. Missed a lot of opportunities deep. And 10, Kevin Ivan might want to take those words back. 1 TD and 1 field goal, but they moved the ball well.
Toronto have used their timeout. Winnipeg is just going to try and run off the seconds. Westwood has it partially blocked, and it goes out of play. The flag is thrown around the 37, 38-yard line, and they'll take it right there, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Illegal kick out of bounds. Winnipeg number 7.
Have we seen the last of one of the great quarterbacks in CFL history, Damon Allen, at 44 years of age? Is his time up? Has time run out for one of the all-time greats? And how about Michael O'Shea? I still think he's got some football left in him. I think Michael O'Shea thinks he has. He's had a good season for the Argos on defense. And this could be the final kick of the can for Mookie Mitchell, one of the all-time great receivers for the Toronto Argonauts. Already has his picture up here in Skydome. And have we seen the last of Michael Pinball Clemens as the coach of the Argos? Bishop unloads to Talbot. This time he hangs on. Talbot down inside the 50-yard line of the Bombers. 26 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock here at Rogers Center.
Yep, and the Toronto Argonauts are not going to give up on this game yet, as long as there's time on the clock. Michael Bishop does have a big enough arm to get it downfield. They need to put the ball into the end zone now.
Bishop out of the shotgun. Talbot outside the 30. Talbot's got to get out of bounds. Stop the clock. He does.
For this play, they're going to need a touchdown by this play. If they don't, they're not going to have enough time to get the ball back.
Those 2 missed field goals by Toronto now looming very, very large.
Yes, they are. But again, you have to give so much credit to this defense. And that man right there, Link, Charles Roberts, has been since 2001 that he was last in the Grey Cup. I was there with him, and he had a fantastic game. He only gave him 7 carries in that Grey Cup, and I think that was one of the problems in that game, is that we didn't give him the ball more, because you see what he can do. Gets better after the game goes on.
Baron Simpson got them through the semifinal against Montreal. He said his main objective was to get to the dance, referring to the Grey Cup, the 95th edition. And I guess the biggest prize of all for Doug Berry will be the fact that Milt Stegall will get a chance to compete in a Grey Cup and win his first Grey Cup.
Definitely. The only thing that Milt Stegall doesn't have on his resume, I mean, leading this league in touchdowns in a career, touchdowns in a season. You know, this is what Milt Stegall came back for. It wasn't the records or the awards. It was about getting to this point and getting to the Grey Cup.
186 regular season games, 144 touchdowns. Nobody has caught more than that man. But what he wanted most, and now he's put himself in position to get, is that Grey Cup ring. 16 seconds separating the Bombers from going to the Grey Cup. Byron Parker is in. Bishop pumps once, goes deep, just puts it up. And it's incomplete. He was looking for Parker. Parker couldn't hang on. Another 8 seconds off the clock for the Bombers.
Yep, and they go to Parker, the converted basketball player, trying to get it up in the air for him, but Winnipeg knows what they're trying to do. They've stopped all long defensive passes today, And it's fitting that they stop another one in the end zone.
Headed back to the cup.
Pinball Clemens did not want to end his coaching career this way.
Like to say hi to my wife, Kristen.
They're going to try the field goal, and that'll be followed by the onside kick, time permitting.
Yeah, Pinball Clemens is just trying to get this game within one score, so he has the opportunity to win the football game. Can't get one without the other. But again, Winnipeg can take the ball over at the 35 if the field goal is good, so it doesn't matter.
The Argos have to keep their offense on the field. And they're going to go for it. They have to. They're down by 10 points. Bishop out of the shotgun. Forced out of the pocket. Running for his life. Fires it to Bruce. And that's out of play. There is no time left. The Bombers have won the Eastern Final and will advance to the Grey Cup. In their history, Winnipeg have won the Cup 10 times, but their last one was 1990.